Do you think there's any chance that there's someone out there that loves LEGO more than TT Games? I actually don't think so. And not that long ago, I spent $1,300 and got a 17 kilo LEGO Millennium Falcon and a Strained Marriage. Still, that actually pales in comparison to deciding to make a whole video game about the damn stuff. And they didn't just make one game. Oh no, sir. It felt like I fell into a loop where I would play one, finish it, then before I even knew what was happening, one would just come out of nowhere and...
Oh, wow!
Holy f***, where'd you come from? Wait, did you say Lego Harry Potter? Okay, well I played that, but for better or worse, the hits just kept coming, and...
You know what they say, fool me once, strike one.
Oh.
But fool me twice, strike three.
TT Games released a staggering 27 LEGO titles in the space of just 14 years, and yours truly played almost all of them. But things have been quiet lately, dare I say it, peaceful even. Until they announced game number 28. Oh my god, that looks amazing. But before I let myself get stuck into that, there's just one little thing we have to do first. So welcome all to the definitive eulogy of LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga. It's time to honor your memory so we can put you in the ground and move on to the newer, hotter model. Guilt-free. Now, let me start by saying that I did have to Google some tips on what to say in a eulogy, but nowhere did it say I couldn't start off by f***ing dragging it. So that's first on today's agenda. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Why does it have to die? Well, I think it's pretty obvious, but when something looks like this... I mean, come on, how many more reasons do you need? Next question, please. Now, before you have a crack at me, I understand that rinsing a LEGO game for having button mashy combat is more a reflection on me than it is on the game. But this is as button mashy as the series gets. It's very clunky and becomes repetitive very quickly. If someone can give me even one good reason to not beat every boss with jump attacks, I promise I won't do it again, and you know where the comments are. But until that happens... Then there are the vehicle missions, and there are two types of these. The first are the on-rails vehicle missions. I must have played the pod racing level like 20 times and screamed into my sister's face,
"Now this is pod racing!"
every single time I finished it. I love the on-rails vehicle missions. The second is the top-down isometric vehicle missions. They are also in the game. Now, there are other parts of this game I wish were different, or dare I say it, better. But these are the same parts of the game that give it its charm. Things like open world hubs to explore or side content to distract you outside of the main levels that we find in newer LEGO games didn't exist back then. But not having these things is kind of what makes the Complete Saga special today. For all the bells and whistles in modern LEGO games, I often find the amount of systems and collectibles at play sometimes overwhelming. The Complete Saga takes you back to a time when LEGO games were much simpler and more welcoming to a completionist. Instead of spending countless hours doing fetch quests, you would spend your time doing other things like, I don't know, finding out how C-3PO can open a door if you've cut off one of his legs and both his arms. Answer, he does it with his face. And don't you dare act like I'm the psychopath, because I know you did it at least once and it's super rad. And this game is full of so many of those memorable moments. I can't speak for anyone else, but I found it so cool when you would load into the cantina on a new save, or even Dexter's Diner for those that want to go an even longer time ago to a galaxy even farther away. And watch as slowly over time, it filled up with different characters you'd unlocked. Even simple things like figuring out what mini-kits were and seeing vehicles slowly build themselves was super satisfying and something I take for granted now. Looking back today, LEGO Star Wars: The Complete Saga got a lot of things right. Not the name, obviously, it's an absolute bloody nightmare, but it's clear that TT Games cared a lot about this license. The appeal of seeing iconic scenes recreated shot for shot with voiceless LEGO characters is still so wholesome. I, for one, actually preferred it like this before later LEGO games started taking lines straight from their films. It's only without dialogue that we ended up with interpretations of famous scenes like this. and I think we're all much better for it. The other thing it nailed was free play. Being able to take your favorite characters and use them to play through levels they had no right being in was utterly inconceivable to me. And the number of characters it gave you to choose from was huge as well. Back then, the idea of 160 playable characters in a single game?
Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
After years of playing LEGO games though, characters are now nothing more to me than abilities with different skins. But not back then. Even playing through this today, I'll admit I fell back into the routine of making sure I had one Dark Force user, one Bounty Hunter, one Astromech. It didn't matter who the actual character was, and that joy I once got from it just wasn't there anymore. And this is really why I think it's time for this game to be put to rest. Not because it's a bad game, but because there are fewer and fewer reasons to go back to it. Like many games at the beginning of a long-running franchise, you could argue that its relevance is upheld through charm, nostalgia, and sheer force of will.
Oh, wow.
If sheer force of will didn't make you at least snort, you need to take a good hard look at yourself, because that might be one of my best jokes yet. But seriously, outside of our own nostalgia, there aren't a lot of reasons left to revisit it. Functionally, there are better LEGO games, and for Star Wars fans, there's now another LEGO Star Wars game that offers even more. Playing through this again was a regular trip down memory lane, and that alone might warrant bringing it out for one final weekend at Bernie's-esque ride. But for most of us, it's finally time to say our goodbyes and put it to rest. But any quirks and frustrations it created, they paled in comparison to the hours of enjoyment and memories this game created for myself, and I hope for many of you as well. Okay, are we done here? Finally! Time to start playing LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Let me know if you'd be interested to see a more detailed comparison between these two titles, or just a review for The Skywalker Saga. Both is an option as well, we'll happily do both. If this isn't the first of my videos that you've seen, consider subscribing for even more of this sort of content. I'll see you in the next video.